into the slot. You got to hear something that's really hot. With the one you love, you're making romance. All day long you've been wanting to dance. Feeling the music from head to toe. Round and round and round you go. Everybody! Hail, hail, rock and roll. Deliver me from the days of old. Long live rock and roll. The beat of the drum is loud and bold. Rock, rock, rock and roll. The feeling is there, body and soul. Soul, 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 soul. Ole!
Well, Jack, what is the source of your music? I mean, blues or hillbilly songs?
I think it's well, it's definitely the source. The foundation of it is rock, and with a flavor of Western. Because most of the music that I heard in my youth was Western music.
And not blues?
No, I never heard any blues when I was in elementary school. No.
Many so-called progressive groups play your tunes. What do you think is progressive music?
Well, everybody has their opinion. I think progressive music is, number one, a music that the artist himself appreciates. The love for his instrument and the execution of it. I think that would be called progression music because progressive music because of the extent that he can portray himself through his instrument.
Anyway, in what sense ever?
I'm sorry to...
In what sense ever somebody expresses himself on the instrument?
Well, every man has his own mind, and it can be portrayed in his music through his execution, through his maneuvering his instrument. It's like building a house. You know, you build it to suit your style. You know, you wish to go in this direction. And speaking of the progression of it, and he'll go this way. Now, there's several things to music: the time, the staccato, mixed time, and the manner in which he goes. In other words, the tempo he goes, and then the route in which he goes, which is the progression, the velocity, and that velocity, we'll say the volume in which he goes. You know, to come down in volume can mean a great deal a lot of times, and then to increase the volume can express a certain passage. So I think all these things done to one's taste is called executing his feeling in his own music, you see.
Do you believe in constant progression of pop music?
Constant progression. You have to define that now, because it could be...
that really the music is always progressive several times.
Am I understanding you right when you say progressive?
I ask you because
not going in a circle, but in one direction, forward.
Oh, well, it can go in a circle because, in the sense of itself, it can't go in a circle because, number one, time never repeats itself, and people's understandings never repeat themselves. In other words, to hear a progression once can give a sincere feeling. To hear it twice, maybe a bit of it. To hear it the third time, maybe a certain person may not have any feeling from it. Well, now you can't say he heard the same thing because he didn't get the same feeling from it. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Could you tell us something about your social background? How did you become a rock and roll singer and involved in rock business?
Yeah, I'd like to mention that. I just didn't become rock and roll. I started playing what I just sensed as music. It wasn't spiritual, perhaps. I say perhaps. And, of course, it wasn't classical. but it was music with a feeling, and I was sort of brought into rock and roll. You see, in other words, rock and roll was branded rock and roll by a man named Alan Freese, to my understanding, who had a radio show in Cleveland in the States, and the way the people were dancing, they were rocking to the music, and what you might call barrel house rolling, and so he named the music, well, this must be rock and roll music, because that's what they're doing, you know. So that's where actually the name rock and roll came from. And I was playing music before then. Although, you know, excuse me, it was the same music, but then it was named, you know, rock and roll then.
Well, you are told to have played blues in your early days.
Yes, many things are said just to fill in lines by journalists, you know, and writers, but blues can mean two things. Blues can mean 12-bar progression musically. When one musician says to another, let's play a song with blues, they mean 12-bar progression. Blues in another sense is any song. Frank Sinatra, Only the Lonely. It sounds like a classic. When so far as bluish feeling or melancholy feeling, it's surely blues. One for the Road. You know, that's blues. A man sitting alone at night thinking, that's bluesy. Well, that's blues in a sense of well, let's see, from the heart. Blues in the sense for music is 12 bars.
Could you tell us something about your procedure of writing music?
Well, now, I think that strictly came from my love of poetry and writing different little stanzas and prose and reading, rhyming, even sometimes talking, like I'm a poet and I know it, and I got good feet to show it. You know, such things as that. In school, that came from Wu Elementary School. And then in music, I did want to say something, so the only way you can say it is through lyrics. The easiest way to say it is through lyrics, and the most direct way. So I wrote the lyrics to my songs, and which was stemmed from my writing of poetry, or little prose, you know.
In an interview in 1969, you said, "The dollar dictates what music is written." In what sense does the dollar dictate what kind of music you write?
I see what you mean. I was in 60, whenever this was, you said.
It was at Berkeley.
Yeah. Well, during that time, if one made a record and the record company had enough capital, oh, that's a dirty word, anyway, to push in behind the record would be played. Now, here's the psychology of it. If you constantly hear a thing, you will become used to it. And if you become used to it, you will use it, because life must go on if that's all you hear. And when you want to dance, if that's the only thing you hear, you will dance. And if you dance, you will have a good time if you want to dance, if you mean to dance and like to dance. And there you are. Any other song could have done the same thing. Of course, you must have some material to present, but if the material is any way capable of reaching a desired heart, it can be pushed with by being played, and it can be played with, did you say dollar, mark, or whatever? I don't know, but we had payola over there. I don't know how it became, how, you know, it is anywhere else, but the dollar could have a song be played, and if it was played, they would purchase it, because they heard nothing else.
Do you think it's necessary to change this dollar dictatorship, to call it like that? The system of pushing records, whether they are good or not.
In a sense, for instance, in the States, I think 300 records are released a week. There's no way in the world you could hear one of them enough to get the lyrics without hearing it at least 4 or 5 times. And that's, 1,500 records that you would have to listen to. and an adult doesn't have the time to listen to it. And the way kids' lives are filled now, I don't think they would have very much time to listen to 1,500 records a week and pick out, you know.
How do you see your role as composer and singer in the record business?
You know, I never think about this. I compose because I like to compose. I sing because I love to sing. Or let's put it this way, I shout or deliver whatever because I like. And because of the response that I get, it pushes me on. Now, my conception of how I am, I hope will never come to me, because fame doesn't mean a thing to me. I'm not. It wouldn't even register with me. And I might add this: when I hear a big applause now, it has come. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I've heard it enough for it now to be immune to it, and it comes to me not as a stimulation, but like a gratification, like thanks for applauding. I want to show that I appreciate it, but it isn't as stimulating, nearly as stimulating as it was in my early career, you see. Yeah.
It's very funny. The music has changed quite a lot since 1957, and the groups nowadays still play your tunes, and your musical material didn't change that much. How could you? What do you think about that?
I would remark by contradicting you about music has changed. I would say new music has been added, as it always has, because new feelings have been added, because new circumstances has been evoked into our lives. Now, new things that come sometimes catch on for a while, or they may linger. However, old things that are real and have stood for a while usually are expected to stand, still longer. So I think new things have been added. Those that weren't worthwhile have faded away like fads. And the real things, like, spirituals, things that will always be, some classics will always be, some rock will always be. There's some rock that has fell off, no doubt. All rock, isn't alive. And some of the other phases of music have come and left, you see what I mean? So I think music has been added, but not changed, because this guy comes in with the same instrument and plays a little different. I don't think that's changing rock. He's adding his feeling.
But the circumstances, they changed in a way.
They better change.
For you,
I mean, for the world. We won't be making any progress,
Is there any relationship between your songs or the lyrics of your songs and reality?
Oh, very much. I don't think. That's why I cannot sing a love song. And let's don't go into that. But anyway, I sing what I feel. I sing what I see, and what I hear. It's now there are phrases in the song that have no connections with my life. But then for Johnny Be Good, for instance, there's parts of the song that walk right along with my past. And then, of course, there's parts that I never lived in Louisiana. I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. But this song, it would have been better to take place in Louisiana, because the fact of the boy being poor was more real there.
And what about Too Much Monkey Business or Some People, songs like that?
I was a clown in school. Need I say more? I was a clown in school. That was written very easily. I had no problem. I think I wrote that in about 7 hours, and it just comes out of my head. Such foolish things.
And Some People too.
Pardon?
Some People. That's that song. Some People.
I know you sung Some People from the LP Back Home. How did you come to write that one?
I'm sorry, I don't think I...
Oh, yes.
Some people, some people you say, oh, well, I'm sorry, yes, some people. Yeah, this is stem from a religious song, Flowers. I'll get the lyrics here in a minute. Some walk in paths where flowers are thrown. No pain, no misery.
No.
But I must bear
Yeah.
the cross alone. But it may be the best for me. You know, it's just a feeling that you have. So I
But you
wrote.
changed the words
Yes,
in your song.
yes, because it's I wouldn't be writing a spiritual, but it's the same effect. You know, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to say, "Amen" to say something real. You know what I mean?
Are you free to write what you want and to record what you want?
Yes, but once I put it on tape and present it as a product to the record company, they have the privilege to do as they wish. I wrote a song about a football game, and when I heard it on wax, it was each two bars were overlapping like so, and I had the man going down the field, and they had him at the 50-yard point. They inserted the first yard, and it was all mixed in, and it sounded like Chinese. And of course, they thought it was sell. Here again, it's a commercial thing. You know, I can't do anything about this because I presented the product, and
Why did you go back to jazz? Was it for reasons like that?
So
well, no,
I
I,
have to get,
excuse me.
I have to get my plane to Frankfurt.
All right, okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Peter.
You went from jazz to Mercury and back to jazz now.
Yes, I went to Mercury because I thought they had a program for me better than the one that Chess had at the moment. When I left Chess, I said, if I do not find what I expect, I hope to return. And just before Leonard Chess died, he welcomed me back as we thought we would reunite, you know, if Mercury did not come through. And they didn't, and I did come back.
How comes that you don't have a band of your own and always play with different bands?
I do have a band of my own. Each member is highly obligated domestically. And however, I took them to Vegas 3 weeks ago and did 2 weeks in Vegas with my band. And we did wonderful. I expect to take them out the rest of the year now. And this may answer your question. Now, the years that have passed, they have not actually been available. That's about the...
Many tunes or many songs have the same tune. For instance, Nadine and Maybelline. Do you just change the lyrics and the beat, or do you write them as new songs?
Yeah, well, you say many. I think, of course, all blues have 12 progressions.
Yes.
There are 4 songs that are similar, rather two pair of songs, Maybelline and Nadine, No Particular Place to Go, and School Days. For a great while, there was a pause. There was no release in my records for record company reasons, and I intended this to be an identification that here I am again, and remember me, this is me. And those were the first 2 songs that I re-recorded after, I think it was a year and 3-month pause, a lull in releasing. So there's only 4, and the other songs that are similar just happen to be similar.
Without one exception, I've never read an interview with you.
Big one?
I've never read an interview with you. Don't you like journalists or people from?
Gee, I've never been. Where am I at? In Bremen before.
No,
I would have loved
I've never
to.
read in any American newspaper an interview with
You have never heard.
No, never
No,
read.
oh, I know what you're getting at though. But anyway, do you know? Here's what happens. I can be playing at a school concert. Someone will come in who looks maybe your age. I don't know. You know, and they will say, "I am from whatever it may be, ABC something," and he has his tape recorder here with him. I would like to get an interview. And I would say, okay, I always start off an interview, but what you're hearing is they don't finish up. Because many times this recorder is set down before me. Just tell me about yourself. Just talk. Well, just talk. I can talk of many things. I like to answer questions about music. I keep my personal life away from the public because I do not wish to be a personal public figure, because my life is my own. Music, I would love to tell what I have learned about music to people who are interested in music. There are some journalists, as you know, writers, that want to get something to make their column juicy. And you know what I mean. And I am ready for them. These are the ones that you hear that tell these stories, because this halfway juicy to say that you wouldn't want to give an interview. I could have declined this one, but I assume in front of cameras we would be legitimate and beautiful.
Well, your famous duck walk and playing with the instrument, do you have invented it for people to entertain them in your show, or?
Wait a minute, I missed the word. I haven't invented it.
Invented.
Oh, invented.
Why do you such things?
To
people have to concentrate on the songs and on the lyrics. They say something to them.
Oh, yes. Well, listen, I don't dance on every song, of course. On Memphis, Tennessee, for instance, I could dance slow or boogaloo or something, but I'm saying something. I'm delivering a message. It's not a song you can dance on. Maybelline, about a car. Why not? I'm talking about a car going down the road. I'm trying to catch it. Let's move. Let's do something. Johnny Be Good, go, go. How can you go and stand still? Go, And so I dance. I think it's anything to entertain, I will put in my act. Anything that I have ever done that has caused response from the audience, I seem to remember, and I'll insert it, maybe not in that song, but somewhere along the program. So that's where I move.
In many of your songs, you talk and sing about cars and the music itself. Why is that? How did you come to sing about cars and the music?
I think I have my 33rd automobile, and in the last, 7 years, it's only been one per year.
Well, is it like a symbol in the States? The car is a status symbol.
It was with me. I had to have a car because I had to go. I remember when I went up to do the first chess recording, I had 7 flats. I was in a 37 Oldsmobile. And I had 7 flats, but I got there on time. I got there in 9 hours. Oh, it's a 3.5-hour drive, But, when you can't afford a car that won't give you trouble, you have to drive one that may or will or does give you trouble. But I like cars, and I know all about a car, and so, this is not hard to explain. I mean, I don't think there's a kid 20 now that wouldn't want a car, or a girl for that matter, so I had the same fever, so to speak,
Well, in 61 or 62, the English groups began to take over American music for the first time, and mostly it was based on your music. Nowadays, as we told earlier, all the progressive groups play your music too, and you are in public not as known as Chuck Berry, but you're most of the ones who love rock and roll music don't know your name. Do you know, or have you any no, sorry.
You mean like idea about...
idea about how that came, yes, how that went. And
well, I wouldn't say that. I think anybody who is just a little heavy into rock might have heard my name or some of my colleagues, because I might have had a great a bit to. I might have enhanced the channel or the era of rock, but I was by no means. It was by no means my doings alone. I was just a cog in the wheel, so to speak. And but you were. I thought you were about to ask the question of like the Beatles doing these numbers, this legend thing. I might say that I think that since it's been said that I am a legend, do you know what? I feel that that's the reason why I haven't had a hit in 7 years. Because when I get on the stage, it's thought like he's the guy. Gosh, he's the guy who started it all. How can he be here? What does he do? He can't play. We're supposed to play. Wait a minute, what is this? A legend, here he is, this doesn't, it freaks him out, So I make another record. I think it's as good as one of the other records, and like nothing, So I live, and I'm not living, so to speak.
Well, are you going to tour Germany or Europe again in a short time?
Listen, you call, and I shall come.
Yeah.
You call, and I shan't forget the first time I played Berlin. It was it wasn't too far. A matter of fact, it was in one of the auditoriums, and I was surprised that I could converse with so many people. Well, they spoke a little English, and it was very warming. One thing, it was a thrill to be in Germany. I've only played Germany maybe 9 times, Hamburg and Frankfurt and I think I played Bonn and Hanover, Berlin a number of times, Hanover 3 times, Star Club and so forth. But yes, I love to play here. And like I say, if you can arrange it, we can make it this summer.
It's too much money. Okay, thank you.
Surely, a pleasure. Glad to talk with you, Clarence.
Hope to see you in States, in Berry Park.
Right out. Okay.
Machines are ready and rolling.
Gentlemen, shall we do a little classic? Let us do a little classic for the people. Let us do Beethoven by way of rolling over.